Good afternoon. Today I'm here to provide information in regards to the most latest homicide, Homicide 30 of 2020, which involves the homicide of DeMargio Jenkins. DeMargio was 21 years old at the time of this homicide. My intentions today is to release some video footage with the hopes that people that view this will be able to provide us information on the individuals that are involved in the homicide. If I may have your attention to the screen to the right of me, I'm going to provide video footage that currently shows a street in Toronto by the name of Blue Jays Way, just south of King Street. On this screen, you will notice that there is a black mark. We have done that to protect the identity of one of the individuals who's involved in this investigation, who is 15 years old. If you could play it, please. In a moment, you're going to notice a few individuals are going to start walking northbound. And I want to draw your attention to one of the individuals who's wearing a gray sweater and black bottoms. That is DeMargio, our homicide victim. We also allege two other individuals who are in all black that are walking with DeMargio are his associates. As they continue to walk north, these individuals are on the east side of Blue Jays Way. On the next screen, what you're going to see is these individuals are approaching closer to King Street, and on the right of the screen here, you will notice a blue SUV, which is a Volkswagen Tiguan, marked in the red circle. This is our suspect vehicle, which we believe was lying in wait for these individuals to come north. And at the time that we see the first circle, which is our homicide victim, Mr. DeMargio Jenkins, he's almost at the vehicle where the location of the vehicle is. The vehicle started to move. And in the company of DeMargio, as I had mentioned earlier, was a 15-year-old male who we have blurred out, and as well two individuals that we believe are associated with DeMargio, dressed in all black. You'll notice also on the screen a family and a vehicle with two doors open, a female and a young boy who's standing there as well. And this will become very relevant in a few moments. DeMargio and his rest of his associates started to cross the street to go on the west side of Blue Jays Way, which is when you can see the suspect vehicle starting to turn and make a U-turn and come around. And at this point, a lone shooter emerges from the vehicle, the Volkswagen Tiguan that I mentioned earlier, blue in color, and this shooter opened gunfire on DeMargio and his other associates that were with him. What you can see in this red circle at the right of the screen is an individual who's got his arm outstretched, his right arm, and I want you to place close attention to his arm. In his hand, he's holding a handgun, but more specifically, he's holding a handgun that has a high-capacity magazine, and what we have found is it's a 30-round magazine. And as this unfolds, I want you to pay attention to the little boy that ducks into the vestibule here while these associates are returning gunfire to the shooter that came from the vehicle. And the shooter can be seen running southbound on Blue Jays Way to the waiting vehicle, and he boards it, and the vehicle leaves the area. As I had mentioned earlier, the little boy was exactly in the line of gunfire when it first started. And the family, which can be clearly seen in the background, were in the receiving end of the volley of shots, which in a moment I'm going to show you a video, skip off the ground inches from not only the little boy, but also the mother who's standing at the vehicle waiting to put the young man in. In this video clip on the left, you will notice 4 circles. These 4 circles are to indicate the individuals that I had mentioned earlier that came northbound that are, we allege, associates of DiMarzio Jenkins. And in 2 of the circles on the right, you can see both individuals have handguns in their hands. And what we believe has occurred is that the shooter comes out of the suspect vehicle, opens gunfire, and 2 associates of DiMarzio Jenkins return gunfire with their own handguns back at the shooter, and we had an active gunfight happening on the sidewalk of Blue Jays Way. And the individual on the extreme left, which is the first circle, was an associate. The individual on the extreme left is actually the suspect that came out of the vehicle, and he is firing gunshots as well as proceeding southbound to the waiting vehicle at the end of the street. The other person that you see in the gray sweater is DiMarzio Jenkins, and at this point he is running back northbound, including his associates, as they're actively engaged in a gunfight from the suspect. As they proceed northbound, on the west side, they go into an alley, and at this point, the 15-year-old male who's been blurred out discards a handgun on the sidewalk which had jammed, which is how we found it, and we have recovered it since. As you can see, the young man and the family that were previously exposed very close to gunfire, in complete panic, board the vehicle. This is the video that I was mentioning earlier that's going to show the gunfire as it hits very close to the 6-year-old boy, inches from his feet, and as the shots are hitting the ground, you can see dust coming up. And the other video that you're going to see is the gunshots also hit the road near the mother. If that round had been a slightly higher, most likely it could have injured the mother, who's standing right by the door. What I want to emphasize here is the suspect vehicle, as I had mentioned earlier, was lying in wait for these 4 individuals that were walking northbound, but more specifically, the gunfire that was exchanged between these 2 parties, the 2 individuals that we believe are associates of Mr. Jenkins, and then the lone